Let's dive into this week's Week 5 preview. We have a lot of games to cover and not enough time to do it, so we got to get into here all of these games, and we are starting out with Thursday night football tonight, and that is Colts and Broncos. So this one will be popping up tomorrow, and we won't be covering this one live, but we will be in our Discord talking a lot about this. Obviously, my Broncos. I'm a big Broncos fan. If you're new to the chat, Scotty's a Chiefs fan, but we have two disappointing teams here. Two disappointing teams that had higher expectations coming into the season. I would argue the Colts had a huge hype going into the season. I guess the Broncos didn't have, I would say the Broncos didn't have as much hype as the Colts coming into the season, given the fact that the Colts were in a weaker division and they should be a lot better given who is in their division. The Broncos, well, I saw everything from winning the division to finishing last in the division. So, I think the higher expectations were the Colts in this one. But we have a matchup between these two teams who have not achieved what they really should. And that's a Broncos team that has lost to the Raiders as of last week. They had struggles offensively, top to bottom. But Scotty, Valhalla, Vikings, Dodgers, Lakers, Kings. So we got 3 LA teams and 1 Minnesota team live in Arizona. That's a whole lot of different areas. I love it, Valhalla. But your Vikings, we'll talk about them here soon. Dodgers look great. Lakers, and Kings. Kings, I'm not sure. I haven't looked into the Kings too much when it comes to the hockey scene.
Kings are gonna. No offense, Valhalla. We're talking hockey. I was thinking Sacramento. The Kings weren't great last year. I don't think they made the playoffs, so we'll see in the NHL. But this game's gonna be great, Chris. Great Thursday night matchup.
Great
Two
matchup.
teams, that have Javonte Williams versus Jonathan Taylor. Great running back matchup. That's why I kind of put these photos.
That's the big news.
Obviously, we had big news with Javonte Williams. Not only did I thought it was like not a season-ending injury based off of just looking at it, Chris. It's like worse than he. Not only did he tear his ACL, he did like 4 other things. He destroyed his knee. Like, it was not good. Jonathan Taylor, they kept saying he's questionable. I never thought he was going to play this week, and they ruled him out finally today with the ankle sprain. So we have a short week, 2 underachieving teams. And then you have Russell, who apparently hurt his throwing shoulder on Sunday. So he's been... Chris, he literally has a video out there that he's Mr. Unlimited. Unlimited. And he's literally been limited in practice all week, Chris. Very limited.
Come on, man.
I just want to say it like he does because it's really stupid and makes you sound like an idiot. But this game's gonna... I think both defenses are gonna ball out. I was in between taking the Colts plus 3.5 and taking the Broncos team total under. So one of my best bets of the week is actually the team total under on the Broncos. So I think the Broncos will score less than 23.5 in this game. They've only got to... Actually, what did they score last week? Have they even got to 24? I think they did last week, right? No, they were at 23. Yep. So they've scored 16, 16, 11, and 23 in their 4 games. They're going up against a good defense on a short week without your best running back. And your quarterback is banged up in his throwing shoulder. Like, I don't see them putting up a lot of points in this game. They might squeak this one out. I think it's going to be the good news, if you're watching this game, is it should be close because neither team's going to score a lot of points. Unless there's some crazy turnovers, maybe some defensive scores or special team scores or things like that. That could turn it into a large win. But I see this being a close game at least, but a low-scoring game. And I'm taking the under on the Broncos 23.5 team total.
I mean, honestly, the total of this entire game is 42.5 now. It hasn't, which is weird, that the fact that it hasn't dropped too much. But I like the under in general, just across the board. I mean, first of all, you got Indianapolis coming into Denver, which is, a decent home field advantage for the most part in the NFL. Then you also have a Matt Ryan who struggles just in general. Me and Matt Ryan. I've never banged on Matt Ryan's drum ever.
I'm sorry, you've never what? Banged on Matt Ryan?
Drum.
Oh, drum. Got it. Bruh. Somebody click that.
Come on, man. But no, I just have never been a Matt Ryan believer, and I don't like this Colts team. This team is not good. The Broncos aren't good either. I'll put it out there. My boys have struggled. But I do like them. If you were to hold a gun to my head and be like, you got to pick one side on this, I think the Broncos come out on top. I would take the Broncos. I mean, the Broncos money line at -190 is not even. There's no value there for me to even do that. That's ridiculous. But I think the Broncos might squeak out a quick win here. I think the defense of the Broncos that they have. What's weird is Randy Gregory got knocked out of this game, and so did Javonte Williams, and the line didn't move that much, which was really eerie to me. Like, there wasn't a lot of change in the line in Vegas with two top guys, one on each side of the football, losing, and then you have a Matt. But it wasn't.
You had Jonathan Taylor go out for the Colts, so
then you had Jonathan Taylor. But that was already kind of
counteracts it.
But that was kind of already. Kind of known.
Well, no, we knew all three of those guys were out.
But I mean, how does Pittman do though? Says Devil Doc. With JT out, is going to be him. We've seen that. I think that Matt Ryan might force the ball a little bit too much when they don't have their.
Ryan looks cooked.
He looks cooked, and I don't love the fact that they're going up against my boy Surtain. I think he's going to do well against this. I've seen some media outlets saying, Pittman's going to go off for 110 yards and a couple touchdowns. I'm like, against who? Not against it. Like, I don't know. This defense is pretty good. So I don't expect to see that by any means. I think maybe he gets, a handful of catches, but I do like the Broncos overall in this one. Not by a lot, but Valhalla, watch out for Mike Boone as the sneaky DFS play. I think Mike Boone is going to get a lot of love here. But
as a DFS, I like him. I wouldn't start him in like a year-long fantasy league because I still think Melvin Gordon's going to get the bulk. But in a DFS where you can get him at a low price or whatever, that makes a ton of sense.
Chris, we still love Russell Wilson, says Mackie.
Chris, I've seen questions out there, and this is a good question. Did Russell Wilson waste Pete Carroll's prime? Everyone thought it was the other way. But now we just see Geno Smith doing things Russell never could do in Seattle. And I'll say it again. Geno Smith, Chris, has a game last week that Russell literally has never had in his life. Chris, you know what I really, really want? Because there are crazy people out there right now, and you write storylines and you want people to click on your thing. So they're like, after a quarter of a season, MVP stuff. And literally some people are mentioning Geno Smith, and I think that's idiotic and ridiculous, and they're doing it for clicks. But you know what I want, Chris? I want one person to put Geno Smith in their MVP voting. Because you know who's never got an MVP vote?
Get out of here.
Russell Wilson. I just want one person to vote for Geno Smith just because of that. Like, it could be a Seattle Seahawks writer. I don't even care. You know how much that would piss off Russell? Just one person, please. Of course Geno Smith's not going to be the MVP of the league. Of course not. But one person, please vote for him. I don't even care.
Are you done?
I'm done.
Geno Smith picked a week 4 2020. Latavius Murray is the same type of HB as Javonte, so they should be able to plug him right in and misuse him.
I mean, Murray's not going to play this week, but then they'll have 10 days. So they plucked up Latavius Murray off the practice squad from New Orleans, right? New Orleans.
Yeah.
So
and he's
a vet. He's a vet. I mean, he's on a practice squad. He's for a reason. He's not going to just blow your mind, but he's at least reliable and been in the league a long time. So.
Are you certain about certain? Yeah, I'm certain. I'm certain.
I think the word is certain. Are you certain about certain?
I think he was doing a play on words with that one.
Yeah.
Let's see. Cooper Rush MVP says Chop. Hey, welcome in, Chop. How we doing? Rush deserves more respect, says G Girl. I mean,
wait for our Dallas preview. I got a nice photo of Cooper Rush on there.
So we have some other stuff going on in the chat. So, all right. So, yeah. So check this out with us tomorrow. We'll be in our Discord. We'll be talking about this game. We'll be posting on Twitter and all the places. So make sure you go in and join us every time we're talking about these games when we're not online. So Colts, Broncos. I got Broncos winning this game barely, but this is going to be an ugly one, guys. It will be an ugly Thursday night football. Next up. Bengals at Ravens. So we have a division rivalry here. Bengals right now are going to Baltimore as 3-point underdogs. So Ravens at home getting -3. This one, 48.5 is the over-under. Scotty, what do you like here in this one? What catches your attention in this one?
I don't have a strong lean on this one. My lean would be the Ravens. I think they win this game by at least 3. I could see them winning by 3, though. I just think and the Ravens are 2-2 in an embarrassing fashion. They should be 4-0, quite frankly. They've given up 2 huge leads against Miami and Buffalo. Now, they are coming off some tough games, and it's in a tough spot. And you have Cincinnati coming off a Thursday night, so they get extra time building up to this week. I just don't know. I don't know, Chris. I don't know that the Bengals have figured out their offensive line stuff and their offense fully yet. And their defense was never elite last year. It just made plays at the right time, kind of the situation that got them to the Super Bowl. The Ravens secondary is an abomination. They're terrible. So if you can't, and their pass rush isn't elite. So, like, literally, I'm talking myself into the Bengals now. Like, the Bengals should be able to move the football against this Ravens defense that's beat up, not that good. You have Marcus Peters fighting with Harbaugh as they're exiting the field. You had Jimmy Smith retire this week as a corner from the Ravens. They're just kind of in shambles there. But I think the Ravens are actually a pretty good team. I think they're the better team. So that's why I don't have a strong lean either way, but I think the Ravens pull this one out. Sorry, football wife. I know you're in bed. I don't mean to upset you. The Bengals could easily win this one. I just think the Ravens have been playing better through 4 games this year.
I think it's an interesting matchup. I actually, I was leaning more when it comes to the over-under at the over. I feel like there couldn't be a lot of scoring in this one. Like both Cincinnati scoring on the Ravens secondary.
Look at this dude.
And then also just the fact that the Ravens just put up a bunch of points and just they're very dynamic offensively too. So I think that if I'm leaning one way or another, the over seems a little bit better than anything else. So I'm not betting one side or the other. I think this would be a close game, but I could see this getting into like the 50s. Easily.
I actually like the over, Chris.
Yeah.
I like the over.
So I got the Ravens at home, says G Girl. Her bedtime was hours ago. What else do we have in the chat? But yeah, I think, overall, this is going to be an interesting matchup. I mean, after the first 2 weeks, the Bengals went 0-2, and then they got 2 double-digit wins over the last couple of weeks. Albeit against like some maybe softer competition, which is it's fine, but you still
Dolphins.
You gotta have some bounce back games.
The Dolphins,
and either way, I think that this.
You know who didn't beat the Dolphins? The Ravens, Chris.
It's true. They gave up that big lead against they choked that one away pretty quickly. So
yep.
I think this will be a close one. Baltimore at home. I mean, this is going to be a Justin Tucker game coming down to the wire. Maybe he hits that game-winning field goal, and it ends up being that 3-point spread that we're looking at right now. So I can see this being a Justin Tucker game.
I mean, 2 of the best kickers in the game.
I was just about to say, excited. This is going to be hyping up. Don't sleep
on Evan McPherson.
We had the
all right.
best
Don't
kickers.
upset football wife like that. I think that might be football wife's favorite player, actually.
I think, you know what we should have done? We should have put both kickers as the highlight reel on this preview.
I blew it. If I had a second chance at this, I would have done it. I would have put both kickers.
No, it's not the same, Hubbard.
No,
27-24. Devil Doc says all field goals, 27-24.
That's a lot of field goals, Devil Doc.
I'll take the over and kicker points, whatever that is. Let's do the
Devil
over.
Doc. This is totally a different segment, but he was talking about Rock Chalk earlier, and I missed talking about it. How about game day, Chris? I didn't even touch on this as a KU fan. Game day, college game day in college football, going to Lawrence this week, Chris.
Are you traveling down for it?
I'm not, because I have to go to my goddaughter's birthday. You know?
Oh, who's that?
That comes first. That's your daughter, Chris. You should know that. That's your daughter. So your daughter turns 3.
Yep.
So you got a little birthday party. So
sorry, I ruined your trip.
The best moment. Yeah, you ruined everything again.
I'll tell my 3-year-old that she ruined her godfather's weekend.
Yeah, John, our uncle-in-law was like, "Oh, it'd be a great week to go out there for it if it wasn't for Brooklyn's birthday." And I was like, "Bruh." But yes. Shout out to Kansas. First time now there's only like 5 D1 FBS programs that haven't had college game day in their home at their home location, because Kansas was 6 and now 5.
All right. Well, there you go. The Godfather.
The Godfather. I am the Godfather.
Bring in the gifts.
We got some sweet gifts. Don't you worry.
I hope Schittsburg loses 77-3. Says football wife's in bed. Just salty. I love
Pittsburgh, huh? Schittsburg. Just. I like it. Although I hope they don't lose by that many, based off of one of my best bets.
Yeah, that's true. G girl, she needs to go to bed. Bungle's gonna bungle. Says
she's already in bed. I don't know why everyone feels like everyone has to tell football wife what to do. Football wife's in charge of us. It's not the other way around. She is the resident adult in the room. Everyone else obey football wife. You don't give her demands.
Breaking news. We got the Royals fired their manager today. There you go. Mike Matheny is gone. There you go. Cardinals legend, says Reckoning. All right.
R.I.P.
Rip. He gone. So, all right. Cowboys at Rams. You want to talk about a couple teams that are like the weirdest teams, and maybe more so the Cowboys than anything else. But the Rams haven't started out the season looking like Super Bowl contenders, even though they are defending champions. And then you also have the Cowboys, who thought they were going to be absolutely a mess. We were talking about who are they going to get in as quarterback? They're going to reach out to somebody random. They're going to try to trade for Jimmy Garoppolo. All these rumors, and everyone was trying to put a plug in the boat that was leaking. And sure enough, Cooper Rush is the guy that plugged the boat and is getting the Cowboys to the promised land, because he is just crushing it for the Cowboys. And he also has some help. The defense has been playing absolutely spectacular. But we have two teams going in different directions here. Now, the latest line I saw on this one...
Yeah, this has moved a lot. I made this line. This was the line yesterday, but it's moved a lot, Chris.
And here's the thing. When we made the line yesterday, and it was 4, I was like, if this goes to like 5.5, this might be one of my best bets of the week. It's taking Dallas plus 5.5, which is where it's at now. I love Dallas in this one, in the sense that I love covering that spread. This is, I think the LA Rams, this is going to be half filled with Cowboys fans. Cowboys are going to be very well represented as a fan base in LA. So I think this isn't necessarily a home game for the Rams. And then you have a Cowboys team that has a great defense against a struggling offense. We don't know what's going on with Matt Stafford at the moment. With his elbow, maybe that's coming into play. You have Cooper Kupp, who can get open against anybody, but you have a decent defense that can get some pressure on Matt Stafford, make him feel uncomfortable. First of all, I think this could be a lower scoring game. Second of all, I think I like the Cowboys plus 5.5 and the under in this one. I didn't bet this, but I was very, very close to making this one of my picks of the week.
I mean, this has the same over-under line, Chris, as tomorrow night's game with the Broncos and Colts. 43.5 is a pretty small number when you're talking about the defending Super Bowl champions and the king of the South. Okay, when Cooper Rush. All right, crown that man. I make fun of it because I don't actually believe it, but he's played well, but they've also put up great game plans to not make him do too much and to like play action and think like this is exactly the game plan they should use, especially with the elite defense that Dallas has when Dak comes back. Like, I hope they learn something from this, and I hope their offensive coordinator, I'm drawing a blank on his name, but he was the quarterback at Boise State for a long time, the best quarterback ever at Boise State. I can't think of his name right now, but I hope he learns from this. Talking about this game.
Kellen Moore.
Thank you. The reason I use this photo for Cooper Kupp, Chris, is because he's like, I'm the only one person that Matthew Stafford throws to, so It's just me. I'm the one. Or he's pointing to his eye and being like, that's the only eye that Matthew Stafford can see out of. Just that one. Just that one. I don't know which it is, but it's one of those two for sure that he's doing. Cooper Rush looks like he could be in like Game of Thrones right here, right now. Doesn't he? Like, look at him. He could be like a king. And I mean, with that beard, that ginger beard he's got going, and he looks like he's, I don't know, he looks like he's on something right there, or he's just mad at someone.
The next king
like a mean mug.
Next king of Casterly Rock right there, you know?
Dallas is the only defense, I believe, to hold opponents all 4 weeks under 20 points. Granted, they haven't played like elite offenses, but the Rams offense that we thought was going to be elite does not look that way right now, Chris. They look in shambles. The offensive line isn't good. We talked about the quarterback play is questionable. They don't have the weapons you thought they did outside of Cooper Kupp. It's like a one-man show out there. The running game isn't working with Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson. I mean, everything is not working offensively, and that defense is... I mean, Aaron Donald actually hasn't been the factor, I would argue, that he's been in years past even. And Jalen Ramsey's got beat sometimes. Like, we watched Debo threw some shade, by the way, after that game on Jalen on social media. But everything's trending towards the Cowboys in this one. The Cowboys, winners of 3 straight after a week 1 loss. Cooper Rush. Dak's getting a little closer to playing. Maybe he could play next week. Maybe one more week after that. We'll see. Everything's trending, and that's why I don't want to bet it. Like, everything, it seems so obvious to bet the Cowboys, especially at 5.5. That's what I want to bet, but it seems too obvious, Chris. Well, it's like, what am I missing? What am I missing?
Well, that's one of the things that I'm wondering is like, all right, Aaron Donald, you mentioned, isn't looking the same Aaron Donald as he always does. And his offensive line, initially we were like, this offensive line is not going to be as good as what we're used to seeing, but they've righted that ship and they've played very well generally.
Talking about Cowboys?
They've played better. So the fact that you've had Aaron Donald that haven't been able to have the same effectiveness, and you have this offensive line that's played better than expected in Dallas, it's hard for me to think that the Cowboys here can't keep this game close at the minimum. Like, and we talk about lower scoring games. 43.5 is the over under between these two teams. You take the points if you can on lower scoring games, and you try to. That's a rule of thumb that you try to lean towards. It's not end all be all by any means, but still, Cowboys have a good defense. They have an offense that's been effective, and I can't say the same for the offense for the Rams. I mean, it's just battle the Coopers. Yes, G girl Cooper Kush for Prez says OG Kush. Yeah, absolutely.
Hanging with the Mr. Coopers.
The Mr. Coopers.
Everyone's like, I don't understand that reference. That's because you're not old enough.
Milwaukee's does have a thing that I want to touch on. We talked about Game of Thrones. He could be that Cooper could be in Game of Thrones. Cooper Rush. A-Rod was in Game of Thrones. Just saying.
Yeah.
I mean,
he was in the worst season though of Game of Thrones.
Yeah. So I like the Cowboys to keep this one close. And honestly, Dallas plus 175 money line, maybe a little sprinkle, maybe plus 175,
just a sprinkle,
maybe a sprinkle that they might even come away with this win outright. Next up,
that'd be huge.
Chargers at Browns. This is one of my bets of the week and one of your bets of the week, Scotty. We are both and you guys, caution yourselves. Anytime Scotty and I bet on the same team, it's gotten better this season.
We're 1-0 this year, Chris.
We're 1-0 this year.
1-0 this year.
So it's trending in the right direction. Chargers coming in after traveling last week, traveling to Cleveland this week. They are going and playing a team that does one thing very, very well, and that's run the ball. There's one thing that the Chargers don't do very well, and that's defend the run. Scotty, we talked a lot about this going into the season, and we talked a lot about it, throughout the course. I mean, the Chargers are not great defending the run, and that's something that the Cleveland Browns do at a very good level. I mean, they have Kareem
Dameon
Hunt.
Pierce had a field day last week for Houston against this Chargers defense.
Dameon Pierce, I'm trying to trade for him in a couple leagues because of what he like. I'm hyped on Dameon Pierce because of what he did against the Chargers, and he's a Texans running back. Like, go figure. I'm excited about Dameon Pierce. That's how the Chargers do against running backs. But I digress. You have Kareem Hunt, you have Chubb in this lineup for the Browns, who are very effective at doing what they do, and that's run the ball. Which is why I think, and why my best bet is Browns +3. I think the wrong team is favored here, Scotty. I'm not a full believer of the Chargers yet. I think there's a lot of issues that I don't think are out there when it comes to Justin Herbert's health. I think he's still battling some things. They have injuries. They don't have Keenan Allen is still out. I mean, they're kind of bare bones on some of their wide receiver core. Bosa's out. Slater, you said OG says Slater's as well. Like, there's just a lot of holes. Traveling back-to-back weeks, going to a bad matchup where they can't defend the run against a good running team. I love the Browns, and I think the Browns should be favored outright in this matchup, Scotty. I got the Browns in this one +3, and I love it.
Yeah. This is one, like, a general rule for me when betting, Chris. And it's not an end all be all, but a good rule of thumb is when you have a team that didn't cover the week prior facing a team that did cover the week prior, you bet on the team that didn't. Right? So the Chargers covered against the Texans, although they almost blew that. They were up a ton, and then all of a sudden the Texans had a chance to take the lead in the fourth quarter. And the Browns obviously lost in Atlanta. They were favored by 1.5, but lost outright in a close game where they were probably the better team in that one. They just didn't play great. But listen, there's been two running backs that have been actually elite this year, Chris.
The only two.
It's Nick Chubb and it's Saquon Barkley. Everyone else has been mid, very mid at the running back position. I'll get into that more later, but Nick Chubb's been a monster behind this offensive line. They blocked it up great. I think they'll continue to do so. They'll run some play action with Brissett. Brissett's been okay. He hasn't been great, but he's been all right. The Chargers, you said back-to-back weeks on the road. A lot of health issues like they always seem to have with the Chargers. We still don't know, Herbert's still probably feeling the effects of that rib injury. It just feels like if the Chargers win this game, I don't see them winning by more than 3. Worst case scenario kind of feels like a push, Chris. I think this is a close game. I think this is almost a toss-up game, and in a toss-up game, and I can get 3 points with the home team, with their strength being the running game against a bad run defense, I'll take it. I'll take it all day.
And not only that, both of Cleveland's defensive ends could potentially come back. I mean, they might not.
Yeah, I mean, Clowney and Garrett were out last week,
which
against Atlanta.
If they play, that's even a bonus here. I think this line even goes higher. It gets to.
I think it gets closer. I think it gets to 2.5. I actually saw it at 2.5 today, Chris. So we got it on the right side of things. Mr. Boofus Doofus, do you think the Browns are a Super Bowl team? No.
I mean,
no.
We love the Browns this week.
No.
But as far as Super Bowl team,
no. I don't even know if they're going to be improved once they get the assaulter back. Because he was awful in the preseason, and it's hard when he can't even practice with the team. So it's gonna be every other team's in rhythm and this far into the season, and they're kind of starting over in week 12 or 13. No, I don't think they are a Super Bowl threat. Maybe if they were in the NFC, because Chris, and answer this for me in the chat, guys. I put this out on Twitter, but I think this is a super interesting question, because I think most people so far would agree the Eagles have been the best team in the NFC, right? Yep. At least thus far. Who's the second best team in the NFC? It's like no one wants to take that trophy. No one wants to be the second best team in the NFC. They all just want to be kind of mid. I mean, who is it? The Packers are 3-1, but they just had to win in overtime at home against a third-string quarterback in the Patriots. Like, are they good? The Vikings have squeaked some games out and are 3-1. The Bucks are 2-2, losing at home. The Rams look like a disaster. The Niners 1 week lose 11-10 to the shitty Broncos and then beat the Rams. Like, who's the second best team in the NFC? No one wants it, Chris. No one wants it.
Sage, Vikings. Hey, Vikings, welcome in. First time chatter. Well, let's all give Sage a nice welcome here in the Action Lab. Are you a Vikings fan? Welcome in if that's who your team is. Appreciate you joining the channel. Mr. Boone. Milwaukee's like, he heard you say Packers and he was like, disagree. Like instantly. OG,
do you disagree that they squeaked out a win on Sunday? I don't know how you disagree with that.
Thank you, Sage. Let's go. Where are you from and who's your team? Is it the Vikings? Second best NFC team, the Delaware Clams, says casually. By the way, Sage, you're gonna like what one of my best bets is this week. So just stay tuned for that.
I can't possibly think who that could be on, Chris.
I don't know. Eagles, Packers, Bucks, says OG. Okay.
I mean, but the Packers, I don't think the Packers have looked like the second best team. I think at the end of the season, you could argue that. But like right now,
you know what?
Packers don't look very good.
You know what's interesting?
Milwaukee, they just don't.
You know what's interesting to think is that the AFC West was so hyped going into the season, and the Chargers haven't looked good. The Raiders haven't looked good. The Broncos haven't. I mean, the Chiefs are where we thought they would be, but. I mean, I wouldn't say that the AFC West is currently one of the best divisions in the NFL. I mean, they have talent, but at the same time, would you say that they're still the best division in the NFL?
I think by the end of the season, you might see it that I still think they'll get there. But right now, they certainly haven't. Yeah, I know, no doubt about it.
NFC,
I think the Raiders
East
are better than the record. NFC East has a really good record, but I don't trust the Giants. The Commanders, I hate saying Commanders out loud, actually, are trash. And the Cowboys, I mean, the Eagles and Cowboys are probably, actually, based off of the rosters right now, better than I thought they'd be, no doubt. I mean, the Eagles are I thought the Eagles were going to be good. I picked the Eagles to go to the NFC Championship game in our preseason predictions, but I didn't expect them to look this good this early. Now, there's a thing called peaking too early, Chris. Like, we got a long way to go. You don't want to peak too early. You want to look good. You want to win games. But you want to be playing your best football in January and February.
That's why the Broncos are where they're at right now. They're peaking at they're going to peak at the right time.
they have. I mean, to get to that peak, that's a tall mountain to climb, Chris.
The Broncos
are a very tall mountain.
They're taking that don't peak too early to an extreme. And they're going to be hitting that peak.
Literally
mid-season.
We're going to start at the bottom of the ocean, Chris. We're going to make it that hard to hit our peak mountaintop. We're going to start in the bottom of the ocean.
It's called the Mariana Trench, and we're starting strong in that trench. 49ers look surprisingly good. 49ers, before the season started, had the best, I thought, one of the best rosters in the NFL. And Jimmy G just took a couple weeks to kind of get up to speed, but they're looking pretty good.
I would say right now, I would rank them as the second best team in the NFC.
I would too. Troll time. AFC West is clearly the worst division of football, says Cherry.
I don't even know how to answer that. Have you seen the AFC South?
That's true. Only team I am scared of is the 49ers, says Milwaukee. So that says something. I mean, you got nightmares and seeing ghosts from last season, Milwaukee's.
I would be scared of the Bucks as well, along with the Eagles and maybe even the Cowboys. I mean, this is not a great Packers team. Doesn't mean that it can't be at the end of the year, but right now the Packers, especially offensively, are not very good.
OG Kush, Broncos suck. Yeah, right now. They're still in the Mariana Trench. They haven't peaked yet. Let's see. Yeah. Only team I'm scared of. Yeah, Milwaukee's. We are 3-1, says Milwaukee's.
Yeah. That's a great record. But who have you? I mean, you won like what was it? Like 14-12 against the Bucks when they had like 8 receivers out. You won in overtime at home against the Patriots, who had a third string quarterback playing in the game. You got dominated by the Vikings. I mean, like, I'm just all right, but you beat the Bears. Neat. It's not. 3-1's great. The record's great, and you'll win this week again because you're playing a Giants team that may not. I don't even know who's playing quarterback for the Giants in London. So, but I'm just saying the eye test. The eye test does not pass so far for the Packers, despite their record.
Next up, we got another AFC. Speaking of AFC West, we got Raiders and Chiefs. Obviously, two teams that are kind of in different spots right now, and this is one of my other bets of the week. We will be reviewing all of our bets of the week after we're done here with these previews, by the way. So just stick around for that. We also have Coming In Hot. Again, my name is Chris. This is Scott. We are your host for the Action Lab, your premier sports and entertainment talk show on Twitch. It's like talking sports with your friends in your family room, except everyone's all around the world. So Raiders.
Unless you're sharing sheets.
Yeah, unless you're sharing sheets, and then, there's that. Chairman of the board, code yellow for chairman. And I love the Chiefs in this one, Scotty. The Raiders haven't looked good. They don't look like a great team right now. Under Josh McDaniels, he hasn't exactly turned things around. They had to have a closed door meeting with the owner before the Broncos game, trying to get things straight. They didn't look good against the Broncos. Let's just put it that outside of that fumble with Melvin Gordon, that was almost the game that the Broncos pulled away from the Raiders, and the Raiders could have been 0-4, but obviously the Broncos did what the Broncos do, and the Raiders somehow made a couple plays. They had an amazing run game that they don't strike me as a team that I expected them to be. And where do we have their weakness? In the secondary, right? Which is why the Denver Broncos failed in their last game from a coaching standpoint of executing long plays downfield. When they did execute long plays downfield, they were successful. When they didn't, they weren't taking advantage of a clear advantage in that game. Guess who can throw the ball downfield, Scotty? It's Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes will throw the ball all over this Raiders secondary, left and right. I cannot wait to see this air show that they're going to be giving up because, first of all, if you get pressure on him, on Patrick Mahomes, he's very accurate. He can be a very good quarterback throwing the ball under pressure. So, they have a couple pass rushers in Las Vegas that can get it done. However, I just think Mahomes is just going to torch this secondary. And I think that this game is going to be easily a 10-point game plus. I got Chiefs as -7, one of my best bets of the week here at Kansas City. I think they take this one, and I think it's pretty clear on this.
Yeah, this is the Monday night game, so hopefully it'll be a good contest. Yeah, everyone's like, "Oh, Derek Carr looks so evil. Why did you choose that photo?" I'm just trying to let you guys know that Derek Carr is in fact a psychopath. There's no doubt in my mind.
Code yellow.
Code yellow first. Code yellow tonight. We last a long time. Spam code yellow in the chat as Chris takes a quick break here, guys, as I dive into this one. Yeah, Derek Carr, I think, is an actual psychopath. That's why I chose this photo. This photo exists. I didn't doctor it, so he only has himself to blame. The Mahomes photo I chose because I wanted to signify this was against the Bucks last week. He completed this pass for a first down. That, as he's getting thrown to the ground, he completes that to Juju for a first down. That's the Mahomes we're talking about. As Chris talked about in this one, the Chiefs dominated the Raiders. The Raiders were a playoff team last year. The Raiders lost to the Chiefs 41-14 and 48-9 in the 2 games last year. It was an absolute mismatch. I know it's a new coaching staff with the Raiders, but I don't know if it's an improved coaching staff. I'm on the Chiefs as well, but it's in a teaser. So I teased the Chiefs down to 6 points to -1. So essentially, they just need to win this one. And I teased them with the Bucks down to -2.5 against the Falcons at home. I think the 2 teams that played on Sunday Night Football, Chiefs and Bucks, roll this week. I think they certainly win, if nothing else. And so that's one of my bets of the week is a teaser, Chiefs -1. Along with the Bucks -2.5, combine those 2, and I like that bet a lot. But yeah, I think the Chiefs certainly should win this game, and very well could win it going away.
Over under 51.5, so there will be some points scored in this one, I think. But yeah, I think there's just it's hard for me to go against what Patrick Mahomes can do to this Raiders team. That, I mean, running the ball is what seems to be the strength is for, which is shocking.
You know who has the best rush defense in the NFL, Chris?
Is it your
through 4 weeks?
Is it your Kansas City Chiefs?
It's my Kansas City Chiefs, which is equally shocking.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is the last 2 weeks and 3 weeks on one of the guys, we don't have our best linebacker with Willie Gay, who's suspended, and our best cover corner, Trent McDuffie, who's a rookie who dominated week 1. Has been out and hasn't played since. Like, this defense is going to get better for the Chiefs. And Sky Moore is eventually going to be a factor in offense. And Milwaukee put it in here. Number 10 on the Chiefs is going to be a stud. That kid needs playing time. He's talking about Isaiah Pacheco, the 7th round pick, running back out of Rutgers.
He's a stud.
He shows a lot of potential. He just needs to figure out a few things. But once he does, Chris, I talked about it. He was the fastest running back at the combine. He weighs over 215 pounds while running a 4.37.
He can catch the ball.
Catch the ball out of the backfield. He can do it all. He's going to be filthy.
By the way, you know what I was thinking about when I took my code yellow? We should have Reckoning do...
the world wants to know at what you were thinking about while you were taking a code yellow, Chris.
I mean, it's always a thing. That
what were you doing? What were you thinking about while you were peeing?
We should have some predictions on who takes the first code yellow of each show.
It's usually me.
It's usually you, but like some days I hydrate a little bit more. Reckoning, new segment, piss thoughts. Yeah, we could do that, Reckoning, and we could do like a whole long thing. Who can?
I'll drink to that.
I'll drink to that as we drink more and then get more code yellows.
To be fair, sometimes I take a code yellow because I'm just out of a drink, Chris.
True.
It's like a fake code yellow because I just need to go get myself a drink. Kind of like right now, actually.
A new segment, says Cuban. Potty talk with Chris. Maybe I take the mic into the bathroom and I just have a conversation with you guys, and you guys just can't see me on camera.
I will.
That's for sure.
I will mute that. I will mute that one.
That's for sure a TOS violation. 100%.
I'm gonna do a fake code yellow, Chris.
A fake code.
I don't know why I'm talking into my headphones. By the way,
I was gonna say it. I was like,
how does this work?
You're doing great. This is exactly how headphones work. Gosh, this is my co-host. This is it. This is what I deal with every single week.
Bruh.
I mean, I don't know. But you got to love him though, right? You got to love him.
My man.
So, we better hear the flush and hand washing if you're going that far, says Casual. Yeah, no, we'll make sure we're staying sanitary, 100%. Fake code yellow with the chat. Spam it. Let's go. All right, next up, let's get going. Oh, here we go. We got G Girls Giants against Milwaukee's Packers. This one is going to be, I think, a better game than what people are anticipating. I mean, the Giants are playing decent football, right? The Giants are actually surprising people with what they've done. Saquon's still healthy, so you can bank on him to continue playing well, which is I'm super happy for Saquon. He deserves to be back here playing and not having to worry about injuries. But overall, I think this is going to be an interesting one. I think the Packers are the better team in this matchup, if I'm going to be, honest. I love what, the Giants have achieved. 3-1 right now. 3-1 against the spread, by the way. And the Packers are also 3-1. So this will be in London. So keep that in mind. This will be the first game in London of 2 winning teams, which is not normally a thing that we're, super in tune with. Like, that doesn't happen. So we've already had a fun game in London. We're setting another fun game here with 2 winning teams. Saquon is the entire offense, says G Girl. It's true, but I mean, he can get it done though. And Daniel Jones has been able to get it done on his feet in recent weeks, but Saquon is definitely the catalyst of this entire offense, and he is a monster. He is a beast. Now, the Packers, I think that they're one of the better teams. We talked about the second best team in the NFC. Packers are trying, I don't know. They can be in that conversation for sure. They're 3-1. Still have some holes and things that they need to work out, but I think this is too big of a spread for me to take the Packers -8. This is some people, and I actually, the betting sites that I look at, they were like, oh, the Packers should be 10-point favorites. I'm like, I probably wouldn't go. Even 8 seems a lot to me against the Giants team who can control the ball, keep the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hands. And I just think that I think the Packers win this game. I just think it's a closer game than what people think. So, hey, the talking headphone is back.
Yeah, I mean, guys, I don't know if you knew this and mentioned, but you can just talk in the headphones and it works real good.
Super effective.
So catching up with the chat. Of course, Milwaukee says this game's not going to be close, but he did say I like the defensive player of the year pick. Yeah, I thought I always put Rodgers out there, so I threw out Rashawn Gary, who has been a monster on the defensive side of the ball for the Packers, no doubt. I wouldn't label him defensive player of the year. Of course, that's Micah Parsons right now for me in Dallas, but Rashawn Gary, which I think at the time a lot of Packers fans didn't love that draft pick in the first round out of Michigan, and it took him some time. He was very raw, but very like an athletic freak, and now he's figured it out, and he's elite. But Chris, I agree. I think if I was to bet, and this isn't one of my bets of the week, but if I was to pick a side here, I'd take the Giants +8. I think we talk about mismatches on the ground. The Patriots with an average at best running game and a third string quarterback were able to run down the Packers' throats last week. No one was pretending they were going to throw it very often, and they were able to do outside zone runs all the time. The tackling for the Packers on defense has been a problem going back to last year. And now you have Saquon Barkley, who's been, the best running back in the game thus far through 4 weeks, an absolute monster, and the guy we all knew he was. He's the prince who was promised, Chris, or the king who was promised, whatever that saying is in Game of Thrones. And he's balling out. So it's a mismatch. We don't know who the quarterback's going to be for the Giants necessarily, but maybe it doesn't matter because they're going to be able to run the ball a little bit against this Packers defense that struggles in the run game. They're great against the pass. They struggle against the run. And I just don't know that the Packers offense is, do you think Aaron Rodgers is happy that he has to go to London for a game? I bet he's furious. I bet he just hates his life right now that he has to travel to play a game in London. At his age and his arrogance, he's just like, nah, I'm good. I don't need to prep for this one that much. We could see a surprise here, Chris. I think that I like the Packers. Actually, I didn't put them in a teaser, but I would tease down the Packers to -2 because I think they'll win the game. Yeah, but I think it'll be pretty close.
Yeah, I mean, Milwaukee says I'll take that bet. Put the bet in. We already have a couple bets with you, Milwaukee. So. Hey, throw it in there. If you like Packers -8, you think they're going to blow them out? Hey, we can get in on some of that action. Well, throw it in the Discord. We have a Discord, guys. If you haven't joined our Discord, you can make bets against us in the Discord and throw your wager out there. We'll accept it and we'll have some fun. If we, want to, we can change it up a little bit. We'll do. I'm excited. I want to get some weekly action. Let's do that. That would be so much fun.
Said the Patriots didn't do shit with 6 or 7 offensive linemen last week, and I'm going to look into that real quick. I'm pretty sure. I mean, they ran for, as I'm looking it up real quick, they ran for 167 yards in the game. So let's not pretend they didn't do shit on the ground. And that's with like Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson or whatever the hell his name is. Like those are like just, I don't even know if I'd call those dudes mid. They're like, they're whatever. And this is Saquon. Okay.
Yeah, and Diacola likes the Packers as well. Yeah, Packers are a home team, even though they're in London, by the way.
They're in London, Diacola, so it's not exactly at home.
Yeah.
It's, unless
but they're
London
labeled
is the new home for the
They're
Packers.
labeled the home team.
Correct.
So there's that. I feel like there's more Packers. Packers maybe are. Do you think the Packers are bigger in London, or do you think the Giants are? I mean, Giants are in a bigger city.
I think Packers. I think just because they've been better and more known with their quarterback play and stuff like that. But it would be interesting. I don't ever get a feel for like, I feel like most people in London that like go to these games aren't necessarily a fan of one or the other teams. They're more just like, I want to go to an NFL game. So they're not necessarily, and then it turns into, if you're just at the game and the game's close, you start cheering for the underdog. That's just like human nature, Chris. If you don't have a side and all of a sudden it's close late, you kind of want the underdog. You start cheering for the underdog, who's the Giants here. So I don't think it's going to be a home field advantage for the Packers necessarily.
America's team, says Milwaukee's best. The Packers are America's team.
Cuban, A-Rod is a citizen of Earth. That's true. It's true. He is, he doesn't even exist in any country. He just is of Earth as he takes ayahuasca, which is not a drug, by the way, Chris. Not a drug. And it's just a hallucinogen that really fucks you up, but it's not a drug.
Scotty, we talked about Buffalo. We talked about, go and get wings. We talked about the Kentucky Derby.
Yep.
What if we did an ayahuasca stream? You and I traveled, and we go sit in a hut, and we just do some ayahuasca.
I ain't doing ayahuasca, man.
I don't even know.
My brother's done ayahuasca. I could ask him about it more.
Ask him about it. Yeah,
he's done ayahuasca on he's gone to the mountains and done retreats where you he's done the whole Aaron Rodgers thing.
That's legal? You could do ayahuasca? It's like...
Oh yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
Mean, I think so.
And then we'll come back with a bunch of the pyramid tattoos on our forearms too. Next up, we have Eagles at Cardinals. Two teams, super dynamic offenses. Well, at least one of them right now. We got the Cardinals trying to play catch up with their dynamic offense after starting out super slow. Call of Duty weekend, double XP weekend is over. We got Kyler Murray who's trying to wake up, and he did wake up last week, trying for the most part.
And I think it was more that Baker was just bad,
or Baker just is one of the worst running back or quarterbacks in the NFL, and it's just it just doesn't get better for Baker. So we were really wrong on Baker. We don't say this very often. We were both saying that Baker could be the best quarterback in this division moving forward once Brady retires. And all of a sudden we're just that was wrong. But he's looking bad. But the Cardinals took advantage. It was one of my best bets of the week last week. They cashed in. They're playing in Arizona. The Eagles traveling to Arizona for this one. Eagles are favored by 5 in this contest. Now, off the initial top, the Eagles, for me, this is an interesting one. So they're traveling to Arizona. So this could be one of their more challenging away games that they've had, given the fact that they are playing a better team in the NFC that is on the upswing. We think they're on the upswing. Will they be able to compete at a high level here? This isn't one of my best bets of the week. Initially, I like the Cardinals getting 5 at home. I didn't bet it because I'm terrified of that bet, but I think this might be a little bit closer game too. The Eagles are the best team. They're undefeated here, coming in, and the Battle of the Birds. I think Philly, I don't know, man. I don't know if, I think there's going to be some bounce back from Arizona moving forward. And I'm kind of hesitant to take a side here. Maybe the Eagles squeak out a close one, but I think maybe there's a backdoor cover for the Cardinals to cover 5 in this one. When will Scotty cuss next in the show? Says that's the new prediction here. Within 5 minutes, 5 to 15 minutes, 15 to 45, or he won't. Ooh, Scotty.
If anyone wants to throw a little money my way on the side, I could influence
I was gonna
this
say,
one.
these are some. There you go.
With great power comes great responsibility, or money potentially. So let me know if you want me to where you're betting, and I could maybe influence that a little bit. This game, Chris. First of all, I'm so. This is my favorite Kyler Murray picture ever. He just looks so little. Look at him.
He's just a little guy.
He looks like he's in kindergarten and he's sitting crisscross applesauce, Chris. He's sitting crisscross applesauce. And speaking of foods, you were like, "Oh, they're trying to play ketchup," and I'm like, "I bet that's his favorite dip because he's a child. He loves ketchup with his chicken nuggets. He does. He's so adorable while playing Call of Duty." Yeah, I don't think the Cardinals are any good at all. I know they're 2-2 now, but they beat the Panthers, who were awful last week, and they really shouldn't have beat the Raiders a couple weeks ago. So lost to the Rams that don't look that good, and got blown out by the Chiefs week 1. So I am not high on the Cardinals. I think they could, if there is an uptick, and I think there will be an uptick, I think it revolves around DeAndre Hopkins, and that starts week 7. He's out 6 weeks, so they got a couple more weeks without DeAndre. That offense last year was a lot more dynamic with DeAndre Hopkins in a lineup, obviously adding an elite wide receiver to go with Hollywood Brown, who they're throwing the ball to almost every play. Hollywood Brown's almost turning into a Cooper Kupp with how often he gets the ball out in Arizona. I think Philly, the only way Philly doesn't cover 5 here is if they just overlook it, and they could overlook this game. They could be feeling great. They're the only undefeated team left in the league, Chris. They have the Cowboys on the horizon, a big divisional matchup against a team at that's your team you got to beat, right? That's your team. So you might be looking ahead. You might not be focused on this matchup overly, thinking, oh, we can take care of this Cardinals team that's kind of looked like trash for 4 weeks. So that's the scenario where I can see the Cardinals keeping this close. If the Eagles were focused on this matchup, they should win this by double digits, no doubt. They're the far better team. Better team.
I agree. And that is one of the other reasons, and you said it, I just think that you have a division matchup with the Eagles in Dallas, I believe, next week. So could this be a trap game where you overlook your opponent?
For sure.
I think that this could be. And then, here's the thing. Kyler Murray comes out of nowhere and just plays like catch up in these games. We talk about catch up a lot. All of a sudden, we're going to get a sponsorship from Heinz all of a sudden, like your boy Mahomes, right?
I do prefer Heinz. I think he's on the Hunt side, isn't he?
Oh, Hunt. Oh, yeah, because,
I do like Heinz actually better, but Mahomes is on the Hunt's catch-up side.
I think that this could be a backdoor cover by the Cardinals, but yeah, I think this will be a fun matchup to watch. So we got to bet Milwaukee. Bet Packers -8. Scotty pours the bomb on a McNugget until I say stop and then eats it versus how many subs? How many subs is that worth for you, Scotty?
Until you say stop?
That's so...
that's the one issue I have with it, because until you say stop, I'm gonna have to douse that thing. That's gonna equal 40 subs. I'm not playing around, but we could, if you just say I dab it 3 or 4 dabs, we could lower that down a little bit to maybe 15 subs.
And you know what, Scotty? I would do it with you.
Not for 15. That's going to be extra.
I actually want to figure out how to find a 1-chip challenge and do that. But neither of them belong on steak, though. Pour it on their just no dabs.
No dab. I mean, by dabs, like I'm not talking like light dabs, but I'm not gonna douse the thing. I'm not gonna just drench it into bomb.
Well,
okay. I have a family to think about.
Let's negotiate.
Right?
Let's negotiate.
They want
in the
me
Discord.
to see another day.
We'll negotiate in the Discord, Milwaukee's. But I kind of like the bet. We got to figure out some of the mechanics of it, though.
Although we will win that bet.
How about you dunk a nugget in the bomb? Well,
like cookies and milk. It's a long process of doing a lot of this to get where you can even dunk it.
Don't clip this, guys. Don't clip that.
I'm pouring out the bomb sauce, Chris, obviously, into a bowl to dunk.
I like it, Reckoning.
I don't know how. I can't be any more clear there, Chris.
Yeah. No worries. Steelers at the Bills. All right, here we go. Steelers at the Bills. This is one of my best bets of the week, and it's not a bet you might think. I haven't done a lot of these this year. But Steelers and Bills. Bills are favored by 14, which is a massive spread here. You have some action on this one too. Scotty, you want to kick this one off?
Yeah, Chris, I love the Steelers plus 14. Give me the Steelers plus 14 all day. First of all, any spread like this, you either bet on the underdog or you don't bet at all. The Steelers have not been 14-point underdogs, Chris, since going back to like 1970.
It's crazy.
And we're talking about, like, I think they're better off. I know I'm not high on Small Hands Pickett, but I think they're better off with him than Trubisky. Okay? The Bills, talking about situations, you bet on situations. The Bills have come off two absolutely grueling games against Miami 2 weeks ago in the hot sun, came back, played against Baltimore on the road last week, blew a 17, or no, I'm sorry, they came back from a 17-point lead and won, but had to do a ton to do that. Like, this is just a game where, like, they're 14-point favorites. I don't see them getting that high for it. I think they feel like this is finally, like, we can breathe a little bit. We can relax. Like, we'll win this game. Josh Allen doesn't feel like I got to put my body on the line and run for first down on, 4th and 2. We could just chill a little bit. I love Pittsburgh. This is my favorite bet of the week, Chris. Favorite bet of the week, Steelers plus 14. I feel like worst case scenario, this is a push. I think the Steelers defense is able to make some plays. And the Bills, quite frankly, Chris, let's look at the Bills through 4 weeks. Don't get me wrong, they're a very good football team. They've played 1.5 or maybe 2 good full football games, but they were separated. The first half against the Rams was kind of and then they went off in the second half, played great. Week 2 against the Titans, they were absolutely phenomenal all game, no doubt about it, credit. And then week 3 against the Dolphins, and then week 4 against the Ravens, all right, they were good for the first half and garbage for they were garbage for the first half, great for the second half. So this isn't a team that, like, everyone wants to hype this team up as the best that we've ever seen. They're very, very good, but they're not great right now, Chris. They're not great. They could easily be 2-2. They, easily could have lost last week against the Ravens. And then we're looking at this team, and are they 14-point favorites? I don't think so. I feel good about this one. I love this one. You're on the over-under, right, Chris?
I'm on the over-under, and I love the under in this one. Now, I do think that this could be a closer game. I if I was leaning anything, I would lean Steelers on this one. I didn't bet that, but I do like the under, because I don't know if the Steelers are going to score more than... I don't know. I don't see the Steelers scoring a ton of points here. So, and I don't know if the Bills... I think this is a get in and get out game for the Bills. This is like hey, we come in, we'll run conservative gameplay. Maybe they get a nice lead early on, maybe 14 points, 17 points, whatever. And then maybe try to coast. And I think run the ball a ton, just let things go. And then that's where the Steelers can backdoor cover the 14. But I still don't think that, the Steelers can really move the ball against the Bills defense right here. I think that the pressure from defensive line, Von Miller and company, will be, disrupting things for the Steelers. And I don't think the Bills are going to just they have a lot to look forward to with some other games down the stretch. I think this is a game where they're just trying to get in, get a win, and get out. And I think that they maybe take the foot off the gas pedal in this and just try to get into the next week. With that
Rec does make a good point. There's a lot of injury concerns with the Steelers this week, defensively especially. Minka, Terrell Emmons, Witherspoon, even Cam Hayward, all limited or not practicing this far. So there's the concern. But again, I just don't think this is a good spot for the Bills. And when it's not a good spot and you're favored by 14, you give me 2 touchdowns, I love it. Broncos, I don't think I've ever seen a minus 14 for an NFL game. No, there's actually been
there's been some 17.
There's been some in the 20s, Chris. Low 20s.
It's rare.
Patriots back in like 07 when they were dominant, and then actually your Peyton Manning led Broncos were 22 somewhere around there point favorites against the Jacksonville Jaguars one year, and I don't think they quite covered that. I think they were a little short of it, but there's definitely been some 20 plus, but 14's high, but it happens. I just don't think the Steelers are a team that should be a 14-point underdog against a team that like is really, really good. And I think at the end of the season, I mean, I think them and the Chiefs right now have separated themselves from the rest of the league. But at the same time, they've shown moments and halves and full games where they're not great. They're inconsistent right now.
Yeah. And again, I just think the Bills, they get a nice two possession game, and I think they slow down the ball and start running the ball and, just kind of manage the game from that standpoint. So I think this is an under candidate. I think I got it 47.5, I think. So I like it there. All right, so there we go. Those are our games that we previewed. If we missed a game, if you guys are interested in any other games, let us know, and we will touch on those. Guys, we have a big weekend in week 5 for the NFL. So make sure you guys join our Discord, talk some NFL with us all through Sunday. We are not live. There's a lot of other streamers that do a lot of cool things. G Girls Live and Spees and you name it. Everyone's live on Sunday, but we are not live during the day. So if you guys want to tune in and hang out with us in the Discord, !Discord in the chat, and you will be able to join our conversations with all of you guys in the chat. Like, all of you guys are popping in all the time and posting some fun things. So there you go. Devil Doc, thank you so much for posting that in the Discord. And we appreciate all of you guys being a part of it. So let's go into our best bets.
Rec threw out in the chat Highsmith for Defensive Player of the Year, which is fine outside of, weren't you hyping Minka as Defensive Player of the Year just on Sunday in our chat? Do you guys have all the Defensive Player of the Years? I don't know. Maybe you do. Oh, runner up. You have the number 1 and number 2 top defensive players. Got it. Got it. My bad. That's my fault. You guys have the 2 best defensive players, and then you'll get TJ Watt back eventually, and you'll have the 3 best defensive players in the league on your team. Got it.
Grandview and Arapahoe playing tomorrow. Are they 2 good teams? I don't even know. I can't tell you. Local high school teams.
My wife went to Arapahoe.
And
so
Grandview
and so did yours.
And Grandview was a rival for me in high school. So I hope Grandview gets just trashed. I hope they just get blown out.
Why would you wish that on high school kids, Chris?
Because I still have affinity for my Eagle Crest Raptors. You know what I'm saying? It's part of it.
Devil Doc. Highsmith's on pace for 23.5 sacks. I love the on pace for after 4 weeks. It's my favorite.
So here we go. There's only one game that we didn't cover here, Scotty. So obviously I'll go over my picks and then you can touch on yours here in a second. So we both have Cleveland +3. We love that matchup against the Chargers in this week 5 game here in Cleveland. Just
you didn't change one of mine, but we'll get into that.
Did I?
You have Tennessee plus 3.5, which was a bet for me last week.
Oh, my bad.
And I have
that?
the Steel. I got Pittsburgh plus 14, which we talked about.
My bad. Pittsburgh plus
That's
14.
all good.
So yeah,
all good.
Just envision that. Minnesota minus 7, KC to win by 7 as well, and Pittsburgh Buffalo under 47.5. You have Denver team total under 23.5. Cleveland plus 3 along with me. You got Pittsburgh plus 14 and a teaser. So you tease down 2 games by 6 points to make Tampa Bay only needing to win by 3 and Kansas City just needing to win just pretty much in general by 1, but you know.
2. Sure.
Good night, good night, boys. Go Pack. We shall talk in Discord. Thank you, Milwaukee's, for being here.
Thanks, Milwaukee.
We love you, brother, and we'll get that bet going. We have coming in hot here shortly, so if you guys are still hanging around, do not go anywhere. We want to make sure you guys join in on Scotty's rant. He's already had 2 or 3 rants today. We're going to get one more in before the night is done. But go ahead, guys. If you guys, have any questions on these games, anything else, throw them in the chat. We want to keep the conversation rolling.
Joker was asking, and you bet on it. So you want to touch on that Minnesota game real quick?
Yeah.
And why you like Minnesota minus 7?
Slider crystals call their food sliders. They slide in, then slide right out.
There you go. Crystals call their food sliders. They slide
We don't
in.
have crystals out here.
We don't.
I don't know crystals.
So yeah, Minnesota is the only other game. I forgot we didn't cover the Minnesota game. I think we talked a little bit about Minnesota early on because we were saying Vikings. Whatchamacallit was a big Vikings fan in the chat. Sage was a Vikings fan, so maybe that's why.
And we got Joker, of course, always.
And Joker. Joker's always here as well. But Vikings, they have a quick turnaround. Winning in London last week, right? Travel, the in and out travel schedule will help them, I think. Over the body clock. You gain time and everything else. I think that's helpful. But I mean, they get to face a brutal Bears passing game that can't protect Justin Fields, right? Their 23.9% sack rate is by far the worst in the league, which I think the Vikings can get pressure on the quarterback in this game. Bears defense also can't stop the run, which makes this a tough get back game when it comes to, defending against a couple really good running backs that the Minnesota Vikings have. I think that the Vikings can control this game from start to finish. I think they win this game. I think that I have this game around a 10-point game, but the Bears, I don't think are very good. I don't think they're good enough to be in this one. I mean, for me, I just think this is a double-digit game for me for Minnesota. I think they back-to-back weeks. This is an early game for Kirk Cousins, so it just lines up to feel really good for the Minnesota to win this one by at least 10.
I see where you're at. I think the Bears are trash. I think the Minnesota absolutely should win this game by more than 7. My concern is coming back from London but I think that's a less concern than Minnesota just plays one-score games, Chris. That's just what they do. It seems like every year they're in close games regardless of who they're playing. And it's exhausting if you're a fan, I'm sure. And so I'm like, when they're a 7-point favorite, I just have a hard time betting on them just because while they should dominate the Bears on Sunday, for whatever reason, they play down to competition at times.
Yeah. I mean, I see that point too. I love
but
Minnesota.
I agree with you. You can't bet on the Bears here. If you're taking a side, it's the Vikings.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's hard for me to go against. And especially, you're in Minnesota. That's a great home field advantage. I love Minnesota here. So there you go. 10-6 and 9-7 on the season so far. We're both in the positive. We're going to keep trying to improve on that. And maybe we should Scotty, I was thinking about it. Maybe we should do something. If we have a perfect week, if you have a perfect week, I have a perfect week. We both have perfect weeks. Maybe we do something for the community. Maybe we do something for the chat or something. Maybe we did do something for community, Chris, because they followed our bets and won a lot of money. I'm assuming that's what we did for the community. True, but maybe we hook them up with something. Maybe we have some fun and, give out some like VIPs or I don't know. We do something, but we'll take care of you guys. Either way, we'll figure out some ideas and get you guys on board with our bets of the week. Vikings got the NFC on lock. Trust. We actually, Sage, we had the Vikings as winning that division.
We both preseason.
We both
picked
preseason.
the Vikings to win the North.
Now they're
Kings of the North.
The Kings of the North, the Vikings. Now we're a little we thought they would be a little stronger, in a couple of these matchups. But I'm not too worried about them. I think they'll be in a good shape moving forward, and I do think that they're a very talented team. Yeah,
lost to the Eagles, who everyone's lost to the Eagles this year, Chris.
There hasn't been a team to beat the Eagles yet, so there's that. Yeah.